AI posters are getting out of hand. They're everywhere. Now all of a sudden everybody wants to be a designer because AI can generate a poster for you. Trust me, it is not the same thing. From small events to big events, to people wishing each other well, congratulations, happy birthday. My favorite cafe recently introduced AI flyers and AI menus. That ruins the whole experience of a cafe. A cafe is supposed to give you vibes of times before technology. However, I'm not against using AI at all. When you do use it, you should use it with taste. And if you're wondering what qualifies you to have an opinion in this, I'm a graphic design master's candidate. So I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to design taste. My name is Brandon. So let's talk about this whole AI poster thing, and I'm going to show you how to do it properly at the end. Before we go and dive deep into all of these various assortment of badly generated AI posters, I'm going to read part of this person's caption verbatim. These AI business flyers or posters and advertisements make all your businesses look lazy and all the same. These are key details to keep in mind. Like, you can't take 10 minutes to make a genuine connection with your audience. It's not unique, it's not eye-catching, it makes you look like you don't care. And it's part of the reason why, as designers, we take a lot of time to make sure that everything that is created for a brand connects to the audience. Because a business is nothing without its audience. And just so that I am extremely clear, I've written down many notes here. Scrolling through all of them, you can immediately see a theme forming here. That is generic, extraordinarily generic. And then the other thing is, I consider all of this to be visual gluttony. AI does not get these things. First is your brand. If we look through all of them, there is no form of brand existing in this at all, which means that there's no connection being made with the audience and your actual brand, which means that there's no form of communication that can be repeated and immediately recognized, which means that you cannot repeat any form of success if this were to be successful. The second thing that AI cannot do is recognize your audience. This is also where the word generic comes into play, because as you can tell by all of this, it's not speaking to a single specific audience beyond the generic things of this is a farmer's market. So let's include things that suggest farm, vegetables, and maybe livestock, and maybe something about nature, and a barn, because, you know, obviously farm. And a scarecrow, because apparently every farm has a scarecrow, even though that's just a stereotype of a specific set of farms from a specific film at a specific period. And part of the reason scarecrows stopped being used in the first place is because they were ineffective. But somehow it has made it here to this poster. Moving on. It doesn't understand your message. There's no clear and concise message available at any of these. A quick example is in this one. We have hands-on activities, educational fun, interactive learning with random icons attached to each of those points that mean nothing essentially. They're just there for the sake of being there. They're just there for vibes. They serve no actual purpose. Moving on. Desired hierarchy. Unless you tell it specifically, it does not understand hierarchy. And in some cases, even when you do, the hierarchy is a bit terrible. And then we have random images and information scattered all about with no discernible order and no flow to it that makes it very difficult to know what to read next and understand all the information extremely simply. Readability, as I mentioned before, non-existent. Subtlety, also non-existent. This is every single thing possible on this page. Let's just throw it there. This looks like very bad taste. And approving this or looking at it after it's been generated and saying yes is also a reflection of bad taste. The other thing that AI doesn't understand is that we are not stupid. doesn't understand that you're not stupid. In the sense that you don't need, like this poster here, every single thing associated with the subject matter for you to understand. You don't need all the random spots of paint. You don't need everything in the poster to look like it was painted. You don't need the images of the children painting. You don't need the images of children dancing in a camp sort of environment. You don't need all the words and all the lists and everything to be attached to an icon that somewhat abstractly represents the subject matter. You don't need additional papers and splots of paint or pencils and crayons on top of the splots of paint. AI will fill your entire page with text. No one needs this much text to understand the message. The other thing that it does is it will use random fonts with all of those texts. As a general rule of thumb in design, three different fonts on any given thing, max. We have a main font, the font that appears the most. We have a secondary font, and then we have a font for highlights. If we look at this poster, let me just quickly count how many fonts this one has. We have one at the top, we have another one directly below that, that's 2. We have another one directly below that, that's already 3. We're already at the max 3. We have another one that's completely different, that's a 4th one. Position details appears to be a different font, that's a 5th. At the very bottom, so we're keeping fonts consistent until the very bottom, and that's 6th. It's 6th font, that's double. Too many fonts. And then the other thing that AI does is it uses too many random colors. Or the exact opposite of that, which is here, which is basically not enough colors or not enough variation in color, which creates a feeling of a lack of contrast. Okay, so I think that is enough torture. And in conclusion, AI might be able to generate a poster, might be able to generate a flyer for you or any other form of advertisement. But crucially, AI sucks at communication. So now question, how do you use AI to create a proper poster for you that actually has taste? You start with strategy. Every good design and every good designer starts with strategy. You don't just go straight into designing something without understanding what you want to do first and who it's for and what purpose it's going to serve. So strategy first. And then after strategy, you focus and hone in on one message. There's a lot of noise out there in the world. When you're communicating with somebody and you include too many messages, some that aren't even related to each other, like AI does, you confuse them. And when an audience is confused, an audience is switched off. And so they leave or ignore, in which case whatever you were trying to do becomes unsuccessful. So one message. And then third, we use design principles. They exist for a reason. They've been tried and tested for basically a century. Design principles are emphasis, balance, contrast, repetition, proportion, movement, white space, unity, pattern, rhythm, and variation. And then the next thing that you do is use references. Use references of work that was made by actual people. You can't use an AI-generated reference. You will generate slop. And you design for your specific audience. If you try to speak to everyone, you speak to no one. Speak to a specific person. And then work with people. Show it to somebody before you give it out to the world. Show somebody. If you show somebody, they can tell you stuff like what I just said in this video. So enough talking, let me actually show you how to do this and open free to use AI. So I've summarized the information from the poster because we don't need everything. It's a poster, it's an advertisement. Not all the information needs to be there. It's supposed to be enough information to get the desired audience to inquire more. You also want to make it as easy as possible for said audience to inquire more. The only available point of contact here is a website. It should be more than that. There should be the website URL, a QR code, and a number. Another thing to keep in mind when AI generating is you want to give it as much information as possible. For the purposes of demonstration, I have included random-ish references. So if we take a moment to analyze this prompt, you always include references for AI. If you don't, it becomes very random and generic. We want to avoid that. That is part of the point of this video. And then you give it a set of specific instructions. So I've told it I wanted to generate a poster for my organization. And the purposes of the poster is an advertisement for a job vacancy. I have told it in very explicit language to only stick to the detail that I give it. Again, if you don't, it includes random things about that specific information. As I said earlier, you don't include all the information under the sun. This is just a poster. The purpose is to communicate one message: job vacancy, apply here. And I've left it very simple like this for non-designers. If it were a designer doing this, I would suggest including very descriptive art direction type language. And the other thing that I like to do is this last statement here: ask me any questions you need to know before proceeding. That's just in case I've missed anything. Alright, night and day difference, as we can probably all tell. And I will reiterate my earlier statement. AI can generate, but it can't communicate. And the way you make it communicate effectively is by telling it exactly what it needs to know, what it should do. Though I say that, I still think this isn't particularly perfect for a few reasons. We have a few alignment issues, but these are things that you can go in and ask the AI to change. I would say this looks like an amateur designer versus our previous bad example, which just looks AI generated. And so, moral of the video, put some thought into it, put some taste into it. If you don't, AI will render you brain dead and tasteless.